Hello learners, myself Manisha Upadhyay, Assistant Professor, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Mangalayatan University. Welcome to this video lecture on economic issues and the role of the Indian press pre-independence. Before this lecture, we taught about social issues, political issues before independence and some critical conditions of the India in British colonial rule. In this video, India's pre-independence era was marked by several economic challenges, including colonial exploitation, agrarian distress, industrial development, and trade policies. The press, the role of press defined broadly and detailed in this video lecture, but first of all, in the introductory part, the press played a pivotal role in disseminating information, generating awareness, and fostering in nationalistic fervor. This lecture aims to shed light on the economic issues faced by India and the influential role of the Indian press in shaping public consciousness and nurturing the freedom struggle. So, some contents and objectives of this video lecture, we will discuss about the part of the British rule and the evils of the some social issues, and broadly explore the economic issues of the India before independence. The objective of this video lecture is to explore the significant economic issues faced by India during its pre-independence period and understand the crucial role played by the Indian press in shaping public opinion and promoting nationalist sentiments. So, learners, we will delve into the economic challenges, the socio-political context, and the proactive role of the press in mobilizing public awareness and catalyzing the independence movement. Economic issues in pre-independence India. The pre-independence era of India was marked by a plethora of economic challenges that significantly influenced the socio-political landscape of the country. This period, spanning from the mid 19th century to 1947, was characterized by British colonial rule and exploitative economic policies that left India grappling with the numerous economic issues. These challenges shaped the course of India's struggle for independence and set the stage for the post independence economic trajectory. Now we discuss about the economic issues. The first is drain of wealth, one of the most pressing economic issues. During pre-independence India was the drain of wealth. The British colonial administration implemented a series of policies that facilitated the extraction of India's resources to benefit the British economy. Land revenue systems like the zamindari and raitwari systems imposed heavy taxes on Indian farmers, leading to an extensive transfer of wealth to British coppers. Additionally, the British encouraged the export of raw materials from India to feed the industrial revolution in Britain, depriving the local industries of their essential inputs and hindering their growth. Skewed trade policies. This has also posed a major challenge to India's economic development.
The British followed a policy of free trade that allowed their manufactured goods to flood the Indian market, significantly damaging indigenous industries. This led to the decline of traditional handicrafts and small scale industries as they could not compete with the produced British goods. As a result, India's industrial growth remained stunted, and the country became increasingly dependent on imports, further uh, exacerbating the economic woes.
Challenges and consequences. Despite the positive impacts, economic boycotts also presented challenges. In some cases, they led to economic hardship for the boycotters, especially the working class whose livelihood depended on trade with the colonial rulers. Furthermore, the colonial powers often responded with harsh measures to suppress the boycotts, leading to arrests and violence. The pre independence era witnessed the strategic use of economic boycotts by colonized nations to challenge oppressive colonial rule. These boycotts not only affected the economies of colonial powers but also played a significant role in shaping national identities and building solidarity among diverse communities. While economic boycotts had both positive and negative consequences, their overall impact on the path to independence remains profound and serves as a reminder of the power of non-violent resistance and collective action in the pursuit.
The inadequacy of infrastructure was another major economic impediment. The British administration invested limited resources in building infrastructure such as railways, roads, and ports that primarily served their interests of resource extraction and quick transportation of goods for export. This lack of infrastructure development hindered the integration of various regions within India and hampered the growth of industries and trade. Agrarian crisis. The agrarian crisis was yet another significant economic issue in pre independence India. Exploitative land revenue systems, coupled with the frequent famines and droughts caused immense hardship to the farming community. The lack of irrigation facility and modern agricultural techniques further perpetuated the agrarian crisis, leading to a cycle of poverty and indebtedness among farmers. Economic disparities. The economic disparities between regions and social classes were stark. Certain regions, particularly those close to major ports and trading centers, experienced relatively better economic conditions while others lagged behind. The traditional caste system further exacerbated economic inequalities with certain castes facing social and economic marginalization. Absence of inclusive economic institutions. This is the point. The absence of inclusive economic institution was also a major challenge. The colonial administration favored policies that catered to British interests and often ignored the needs of the local population. The lack of representation for Indians in economic decision making processes led to policies that did not align with the aspirations of the people. Economic instability. The currency and the monetary policies implemented by the British also contributed to economic instability. The British Indian currency system was based to the pound sterling, which made the Indian economy susceptible to fluctuations in the British economy. Furthermore, the British maintained control over India's central bank, limiting the country's ability to have an independent monetary policy. The education system under the British rule also played a role in perpetuating economic issues. The emphasis on creating a workforce suited for clerical and administrative roles rather than promoting technical and industrial education hindered India. The exploitative land revenue system and its effects on farmers. This is the main issue of pre independence. During the pre independence era, uh, in many parts of colonial India, the land revenue system was a major source of revenue for the British colonial administration. The system was designed to extract maximum profits from the agricultural sector, leading to significant hardship for Indian farmers. This video lecture explores the exploitative nature of the land revenue system and its detrimental effects on farmers before India gained independence in 1947. First of all, we discuss heavy taxation. The land revenue rates set by the British were often exorbitant and inflexible. Farmers were required to pay a fixed percentage of their agriculture produce as revenue, regardless of fluctuations in crop yield or market prices. This led to severe financial burdens on farmers during years of crop failure or economic downturns, forcing them into cycle of debt and poverty. Absentee landlords and exploitative jamidars. Many jamidars were absentee landlords who lived in distant cities, disconnected from the rural realities. As a result, they often lacked interest in the welfare of the farmers or the development of the land. These zamindars tended to maximize their profits by squeezing as much revenue as possible from the farmers, leading to neglect of agricultural infrastructure and local development. The uncertainty of land tenure under the land revenue system had devastating consequences for farmers. Land reforms were virtually non existent, and farmers faced constant fears of losing their land due to non payment of revenue or arbitrary eviction by the jamidars. This insecurity discouraged long term investments in land improvement, further hindering agricultural progress. Exploitative practices and indebtedness. To meet the revenue demands, farmers often had to take loans from moneylenders at exorbitant interest rates. These moneylenders, in many cases, were in collusion with the colonial administration and jamidars. Consequently, farmers found themselves trapped in a cycle of indebtedness with little chance of escaping poverty. Impact on agricultural productivity. The exploitative land revenue system stifled agricultural growth. Farmers were unable to invest in modern agricultural practices, irrigation, and machinery due to their financial constraints. As a result, agriculture productivity remained low, leading to food shortages and a lack of surplus for industrial development. The exploitative land revenue system during the pre independence period in India severely affected farmers' livelihoods and hindered the country's agricultural and economic progresses. The heavy taxation, lack of revenue security, and exploitative practices of absentee landlords and jamidars led to an oppressive cycle of poverty and indebtedness for Indian farmers. It was not only after India gained independence in 1947 that efforts towards land for reforms were initiated to address these injustices and pave the way for a more equitable and prosperous agriculture sector. Freedom movement is spanning various historical contexts as has been the freedom movement is spanning various historical contexts has been significantly influenced by diverse economic ideologies that shaped its course. Classical liberalism, a dominant ideology during the American and French revolutions, emphasized individuals' rights, limited government intervention, and free market capitalism as crucial components of achieving freedom. The belief that economic freedom and political freedom are interconnected fueled the pursuit of self determination and the removal of oppressive economic structures. In contrast, socialist and communist ideologies emerging later in the 19th and 20th centuries drove movements seeking economic equality and collective ownership of resources, advocating for freedom from exploitation and social inequities. These ideologies found expression in numerous independence struggles and labor movements worldwide, illustrating how the quest for freedom encompasses not only political liberties but also economic emancipation. As the freedom movement continues to evolve, the interplay between different economic ideologies continues to shape its strategies and objectives, highlighting the complex and enduring relationship between economic systems and the pursuit of liberty. Swadeshi movement and its economic significance. The Swadeshi movement was a significant socio-economic and political movement that emerged in India during the early 20th century, specifically between 1905 and 1911. The term Swadeshi is derived from two Sanskrit words, Swa meaning self or own, and Desh meaning country. It emphasized the promotion of indigenous industries and the use of Indian made products to foster economic self sufficiency and reduce dependence on foreign goods, particularly those imported from British colonial powers. The Swadeshi movement gained momentum as a response to various political and economic factors, including the partition of Bengal in 1905 by the British, which was a seen as a divide and rule tactic to weaken Indian unity. It sparked a widespread sense of nationalism and inspired Indians from all walks of life to boycott British goods and institutions. The movement advocated for the revival of traditional Indian handicrafts and industries to create employment opportunities and strengthen the Indian economy. One of the most iconic symbols of the Swadeshi movement was the promotion of khadi, a hand spoon and hand woven fabric, which was seen as a means to revive rural industries and empower the rural population. Mahatma Gandhi played a vital role in popularizing khadi and making it a symbol of India's independence struggle. The economic significance of the Swadeshi movement was manifold. First and foremost, it encouraged Indians to take pride in their own culture, heritage, and products, fostering a sense of national identity and unity. By boycotting foreign goods and embracing Swadeshi products, the movement aimed to create a self sufficient economy and reduce the drain of wealth from India to Britain. Furthermore, the movement emphasized the importance of rural industries and local manufacturing, promoting a decentralized economic model that empowered local communities and artisans. This focus on rural industries also aimed to alleviate poverty and unemployment in the countryside. Swadeshi movement had a far-reaching impact on India's struggle for independence. It not only united people against British colonial rule, but also laid the groundwork for other nationalist movements that followed. The concept of self reliance and economic independence remained a central uh, tenet in India's post independence economic policies. The Swadeshi movement was a pivotal role, pivotal chapter in India's fight for freedom as it advocated for economic self sufficiency through the promotion of indigenous industries and the use of Indian made products. Its emphasis on nationalism, empowerment of rural communities, and resistance against foreign dominance left a lasting legacy in India's quest for independence and economic development. Now we talk about the Indian press and its role to improve the economic issues pre-independence. During the pre-independence era in India, the Indian press played a crucial role in shaping public opinion, raising awareness about economic issues, and advocating for reforms. The Indian press, comprising newspapers, magazines, and other forms of media, served as a powerful tool in influencing public discourse and mobilizing people towards economic progress and independence from British colonial rule. Here are some ways the Indian press contributed to improving economic issues during that period. Number one is raising awareness. Newspapers and journals were instrumental in disseminating information about economic challenges faced by the Indian population. They highlighted issues like poverty, unemployment, agricultural distress, and exploitative economic policies imposed by the British colonial government. Advocacy for reforms. The Indian press acted as a platform for intellectuals, readers, leaders, activists to voice their opinions and demand economic reforms. It helped in popularizing the idea of economic self reliance and promoted indigenous industries and products. Next, mobilizing public opinion. Newspapers and magazines played a significant role in mobilizing the public opinion and organizing protests, strikes, and movements against oppressive economic policies. They united people from different regions and backgrounds towards a common goal of economic improvement. Educating the masses. The press contributed to educating the masses about economic matters, promoting financial literacy, and encouraging people to adopt prudent economic practices. Next one is challenging colonial economic policies. The Indian press criticized and challenged exploitative colonial economic policies like heavy taxation, discriminatory trade practices, and resource extraction that drained India's wealth and hindered economic growth, promoting indigenous industries. Many newspapers and journals encouraged the development of indigenous industries and trade to reduce reliance on imports and create employment opportunities. Spreading ideas of economic nationalism. The Indian press was instrumental in propagating the ideas of economic nationalism, emphasizing the importance of economic independence and self sufficiency for the nation's overall progress. Influencing policy making, the Indian press had a significant impact on shaping public opinion and influencing policymakers. It put pressure on the colonial government to address economic issues and implement reforms that would benefit the Indian economy. The press promoted entrepreneurial ventures and showcased successful Indian entrepreneurs to inspire others to start their businesses and contribute to economic development. In overall, we can say that the Indian press played a vital role in enlightening, uniting, and mobilizing the Indian population towards economic progress and independence from colonial rule. It served as a powerful tool to spread awareness about economic issues and advocating for reforms that laid the groundwork for India's economic growth after gaining independence in 1947. Reporting on economic boycotts and their economic implications pre independence, economic boycotts have historically been powerful tools used by nations and populations to protest oppressive colonial rule and seek independence. Prior to gaining independence from colonial powers, many countries implemented boycotts against their colonial rulers as a means of exerting economic pressure, asserting their rights, and striving for self governance. This lecture delves into the historical context of economic boycotts and explores their economic implications on the path of independence. You see the emergence of economic boycotts during the pre-independence era. Various nations under colonial rule faced economic exploitation, political oppression, and social injustices. As a response, nationalist movements emerged, advocating for self-determination and independence. And next one is the Indian independence movement. One of the most significant pre-independence movements was the Indian independence movement against British colonial rule. Mahatma Gandhi, the prominent leader of the movement, popularized non-violent civil disobedience and called for nationwide boycotts of British goods and institutions. This boycott aimed to weaken the economic foundation of the British Raj and demonstrated India's self-reliance and solidarity. And economic implications of boycotts, many more: reduce revenue for colonial powers, and promotion of local industries, resistance and solidarity, international attention and support. In these points, economic boycotts led to a decline to revenue. And second one is as the people stopped buying foreign goods, demand for local products surged. This bolstered indigenous industries, encouraging entrepreneurship and supporting local economies. And boycotts united people from uh, diverse backgrounds in their shared cause of independence.
In concluding part, we can say India's pre-independence period was rife with economic challenges, and the Indian press played an indispensable role in highlighting and addressing these issues. Through their writings, newspapers helped mobilize public sentiments and unify the masses towards the pursuit of independence. The legacy of the Indian press in the pre independence era continues to influence the country's media landscape and the economic policies that govern it today. It is crucial to remember the role of the press played in the freedom struggle, as it serves as a reminder of the power of the media in shaping the destiny of the nations. So, learners, this is the end of the video. Myself, Manisha Upadhyay, saying goodbye.